Hi, I'm Tom Hughes outside Red Wings Marine Museum. If you go inside, you'll see a lot about boating and boat manufacturing in the Red Wing area, but there's a lot more to this building. Let's talk with Mike Wilson about that. So Mike, there's been a lot of changes in this building. Tell us what it was originally.
Well, originally, Tom, this was built and turned over to the city in 1865. It was a water pump station, and what they did back then was drew water directly out of the Mississippi River up into this building, filtered it somewhat at the time, and shot it up into the water mains up on this end of town. They used it for fire protection prior to, they had a big fire, mill fire had burned up here. The city didn't have enough water protection, and that's when it spurred them on to build this water pump station so they could get more water uptown into the water mains for fire protection.
And nice, what happened after that then?
Well, after that, the building was, they built the building next door to it and drew two wells in there and got fresh water out, and then they ran the fresh water up to the homes up in this area because people needed potable water at the time. The water coming out of the river, of course, didn't meet code, so they went to fresh water, and that's when that building was built and the wells were built there. This became extinct. The building wasn't used at that time. They didn't need to draw it out of the river anymore since they were doing freshwater wells. So this building turned into a storage facility for the city water department, and they put an additional second floor inside the building at the time and just used it as a catch-all. And then later years, this portion of the building we're in now became the city dog pound, which up until about 10 years ago when the Humane Society took over the dog pound portion of it from the city, then this whole building became just strictly storage.
And this is where we're standing, is kind of where the dog pound is.
This area was the dog pound. They had the dog kennels in here, which we of course have removed. There was an office in here, a small bathroom. All that removed. We removed the second deck that was in here.
Because the ceilings are really, really high here.
Yes, high ceilings in here. Reason being there were some big pumps in here, and on the other side was the big boilers which generated steam to drive the pumps.
And can we walk into the next room?
Sure can.
Okay, let's take a walk in here.
We'll follow the river down.
That's right, it's all over the floor here. It's kind of cool.
Yes, this was laid out by Art Kenyon, and he sketched this into the floor, and then we just painted it to match as the river flows down here into Red Wing then.
And what was this room used for?
This room was where the boilers were. They were located, there was two big boilers in here, and then they exhausted out through this into a chimney on the outside of the building, which went up an additional 80 feet on top of the chimney that you see today. That's been since removed. But the boilers sat here, and this room off to my right was the coal room.
Let's walk in there.
And that's where they would truck the coal in here, and then of course they would feed the boilers in this area. So,
where was the coal chute? Was there a chute in here?
no, it was all dump trucked in here.
Okay.
It was a rail car, they railed it in, I'm sure, at one time. And then this room has been, it was larger at one time, it's since been shrunk down years ago. But then they stored the coal in here, and then here's the chimney here, of course. So then they brought the coal from here into the boiler room.
Boy, Santa could get down there, couldn't he?
Santa could get down here, two Santa Clauses could come down at a time.
That's a big chimney.
Yep.
So when did the whole renovation of the building start? What year was that? Or how did the idea come to you or whoever it came to?
This came to mind, about 7, 8 years ago. I've always kept an eye on this building. I always thought it was such a very nice building. Something should be done with it. So our boat was right across the street, and so I'd always looked at this building for many, many, many years. So when the time came that I bought this collection of motors from Harry Munson, I needed a place to park them. And that's when I approached the city and asked them if I could rent the building. So I did, and they gave me a 3-year lease at the time. So I brought the motors in here, parked them in here. When I started cleaning up in this building, I thought this was a pretty nice building. I think we could do something with it. So I approached some area foundations to get funding to try to do this. And they said, we can't go on a 3-year. I got to get a longer term lease. So I went back to city, and they gave me a 50-year lease. So then I went back to these area foundations and started getting some seed money to start reconstruction, rehabbing this building.
You're going to be really old when it expires.
Yes, I think that
Hope we can do an interview that year. That would be nice.
I hope your grandkids are able to run a museum because I won't be able to at the time.
I would guess not. And can you tell us more about the building? What had to be done to make it habitable?
In this building, the walls in this other building, side of the building, were all
in here.
Yeah, they were all skim coated because of the tremendous amount of heat from these boilers. You can see up on this area here, that gray material. All these walls were covered with that material. So I started chipping that off, and I could see the nice brickwork and the stone that was here. So that's when we decided we were going to go after this building to rehab it. So then we got going. We started raising some money to be able to do this. And then I hired in Claire Masonry, came in here, and those guys worked for about 6 weeks. There were 4 of them in here. They chipped off all that skim coat off all these walls, retuck pointed everything. We washed down the ceilings, and we thought about painting them, but we thought, no, let's leave that because it really turned out nice. And that's a clay tile ceiling up there.
Oh, that's what that is?
It's all tile. It looks like wood, but that's all clay tile. So we left that as is up there. We left the beams the way they were. And that opening up there was for the second deck that was in here, which we removed the second deck on both sides. We left the opening there for now till we decide what we can do next for that. So this archway, we had to replicate that because that was squared up. So we had to get that wall engineered to get that arch back in there. And so we replaced that at that time.
Nice. I was really surprised when I came in here how nice it is, but it's not opulent, it's just nice.
Right, and that's what we wanted to keep it a basic look, industrial look in here. We put a two-part epoxy floor in here because another concern I have is the flooding. If I get flooded in here like in '65, it went over the back railroad tracks. That's how high the water got in there. So I made sure all the outlets were up. I put this special floor in here. So if we do get a flood again, I can just remove things and just let the water come in.
And I know all this stuff will be hauled out, but if we had a '65 flood approximately here, round numbers?
Yeah, I'd come approximately up these flywheels here.
Okay.
That's where it got to in '65.
Wow, well, let's hope that doesn't ever happen again.
You got that right.
We've had some big floods over the last few years, that surprised me.
Like I say, this building's been flooded before, and it'll take it, so.
It looks like it's built for that kind of stuff.
It was well built, and it's staying. All this stone came off the quarries up off of Memorial. And when we were redoing this, we needed some extra stone, in the city, in their ultimate wisdom, had a stockpile of this stone.
Really?
And they allowed us to go in there and pick the stone we needed out there, so you can't tell which ones we had to replace.
No, it's really nice.
Yep.
Very well done. Looks nice, Mike. So tell us about the museum. When can people come in and take a look at this building and the museum itself?
Okay, we're currently open on Saturdays from noon to 5. And then when the American Queen comes to town, they come on some Mondays too. So there'll be Saturdays and a few, I think about 7 Mondays will be open. But you'll have to watch the schedule when the riverboats come, because this is part of their tour.
Sure.
They've been here, the company people have been here. They're just absolutely amazed by this, the building and the museum itself. So they're real excited to bring their tour people through here. So that's currently the hours we'll be operating for this year. Next year might be a little different with the road construction out here, so we'll have to let people know at that time what we're going to do here.
We'll come in by airplane then, airdrop?
Airplane or helicopter will get you in here.
Nice.
So.
And can people book tours if they have groups like
Yes.
Lions Club or something?
Yep, they can certainly give us a call. We're on our website, redwingmarinemuseum.com, so they can get a hold of me and we can open this up for tours or private parties, whatever they want to do. We're more than glad to open it up for them.
Nice, and you guys have a Facebook page too,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Your daughter put that together?
Yes, Marissa did a wonderful job.
I figured, yeah.
Because I couldn't do it.
I know, our technology, our era of technology. Well, now we're in the building next door, and Mike, tell us about this building.
Okay, this building was built in the mid-20s, and this is the building where they put the wells in. They drilled 2 wells in this building.
Can you show us where those wells were?
One of those was situated right here. The base of it was right here, and then because there's a hole in the ceiling they had up there where they, in case they had to pull the pumps, that they had the holes in the ceiling. And in the back room there was another one, and this pipe is where they pumped it into that big 750,000 gallon reservoir that's on the other side of this wall. But you notice this building curves around the reservoir. So my next project will be to restore this building, put the windows back in it, but we like to get the reservoir moved because it has no significance to me, and it make a wonderful parking lot. So that's what we're striving for. Our next project will be this building. But we have come in, cleaned up, put a new floor in here. And this is more like our workshop in here. We had John Getminger build a boat in here this past winter. He's made a replica, half scale, of the Creeping Bear, which is a boat that has a little historic value to Red Wing. So he's going to mount a motor in there and test fire that, and then he wants to build a full-scale boat and take it to New Orleans, just like Roxy Nelson did back in the early 1900s, setting up dealers for Red Wing Motor Company.
We'd like to be there to film that when you and he
I would like to be there to watch
take
this.
off to go to New Orleans
Yes.
together.
I'm just going to follow in a pursuit boat and enjoy the ride.
Okay.
So in here we've got old fishing lures and fishing poles, and that's what we're going to kind of emphasize in this building, along with the outboard motors, old water skis. In fact, I just got some new water skis, or old water skis, donated to me today.
Nice.
That we're going to bring down and to put on display. So this will be more the recreational aspect of the museum in this building.
Anybody your and my age that fished the levee wall will remember most of their fishing
Right.
tackle they lost on the levee wall.
Right, and a lot of that you would think I accumulated off the old logs down by the levee, but no, a lot of these were donated by Harry Munson and some of the local fishermen, along with the old poles and old tackle that was used back then. So.
Well, thanks for the tour, Mike. Sure appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, Tom. I'm glad you could stop down, and I hope everyone gets a chance to come down and visit someday and see what we got going here.
He's Mike Wilson. I'm Tom Hughes. Thanks for watching Red Wings Channel 6.